Hey everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to take you through every single book I read in April and tell you a little bit about what I thought of them and what I rated them. So in April I read 7,081 pages, which was 24 books. Only 7 of them were actual physical books. But they were all pretty big if I show you the stack. So they're all physical books, and every book I read physically was a book that was on my April TBR. So even though I didn't read most of my TBR, every book I read physically was on my TBR, if that makes sense. We are going to start with the physical books. And I spent most of this month reading the ACOTAR series. I read A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames. So I can't tell you too much about these because obviously they are books 3, 3.5 and 4 in a series, but I'm sure you have heard of the ACOTAR series before. Book 3 is kind of the war book. There's a lot of fighting. A lot of people say that it doesn't have much relationship development and like romance in it, but there was a lot of relationship development in my opinion. This is my favorite book in the series. I rated this one 5 stars. I cried at a couple points in this book and I love it so much. This book has a favorite special place in my heart. And of course I moved on to A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is like a Christmas novella in between the war and then the huge book. And we got some more points of view because obviously all the other books have just been from Feyre's points of view, and this had some more. It was sweet. It was also deep at times, but I really enjoyed it. And then we move on to the big book. This book is, I think, 750 pages at least. This is A Court of Silver Flames, and this is Nesta's book. It's also kind of Cassian's book as well, but if you didn't... Ignore that happened. If you didn't like Nesta and the other books, can't relate, but I understand why people don't like her. Read this book, give it a chance. You get to see the way she really thinks, and also Cassian's my favourite bat boy now. I love him so much and I can empathise with Nesta so much. I sobbed at the ending of this. If you know, you know. Oh my god. This book was so good. The next book I read was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. This is another fantasy book. I've been really into fantasy recently and I enjoyed it. It had a slow start, I will say. It was just not catching my attention right at the beginning. But if you've read this book or seen a lot about it, you know there's a plot twist that happens in the last 20%. And I knew there was going to be a plot twist going into it. So I was trying to figure out the whole time what it was. Why did I not guess that? That was crazy. I want to read book 2 now. This bumped it up from a 3 to a 3.5 stars because I was just in shock at that ending. I want to read the next book. I think it's Glass Sword. So definitely want to continue with this series. Next up, we had either this one or A Court of Wings and Ruin was my favourite of the month. I think A Court of Wings and Ruin is one of the best fantasy books I've ever read, and this is one of the best rom-coms I've ever read. We have By a Thread by Lucy Score. Now this book is 600 pages and I think I read it in 2 days. I tabbed it. It was amazing. This made me sob as well. I love Lucy Score's books so incredibly much. My dogs decided to bark outside. But this book was so good. It's about Dominic and Ali. Basically, she's working at a pizza place and he goes there with who she thinks at the time is a date, but is actually his mother. And she tells his mum that she's too good for him, not realising. But anyway, he's really rude to her. And so she spells out FU in pepperonis on his pizza, and he gets her fired. And then as she leaves, his mum offers her a job, and she ends up having to work for him, but it's like a dream job, so she's like, yep, I'm doing it. And it was really good. It's also got some darker, like, not darker, but like deeper conversations in it about what his father did. You'll learn as you read it, but so good. 5,000 stars. I'm gonna run out of space on this camera soon, so let me get moving. We have another 5-star read, which is Does It Hurt by H.D. Colton. This is another author where I have rated everything from her 5 stars. I read The Cat and Mouse Duet. They were the first 2 books I read this year, and they were some of the best I've ever read. This is dark, romantic, suspense, thriller, mystery. There's a bit of everything. Basically, our main girl is on the run. You don't know what from, but she steals people's identities. So, like, she'll find a man that's, like, rich enough that he won't notice any activity going on his credit card, and then she, you know, flirts with him, goes back to his, and then ends up like stealing his identity, takes pictures of all his like passports and stuff, and gets a new credit card put in his name, and then she's living under that person's name. She just swaps the IDs to a picture of her face, and she does that with one guy, and then he finds out and sees her again, so he lures her onto his ship, dunks her head under the water. And then there's a shipwreck, and they end up stranded together on an island with just a lighthouse and an old creepy man in there. It's no longer a question of who I am, but rather will I survive. I should not have read this book at night time. I read the last 100 pages at like 2 a.m. and I shouldn't have done that because I had to sleep with the lights on. Oh my god, it was so creepy. This is very dark. Please check trigger warnings. If you want to see any potential trigger warnings, my story graph will be linked below, where I try to put all the trigger warnings I can think of in my reviews. Sometimes I don't think there are any, but I may have missed some, so you can always just check what other people have said. I think it tells you, if you find a book on Storygraph, it will tell you what the most popular ones are on there, like most added. But yeah, another 5-star read. And then the last physical book I read was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I did actually listen to a lot of this on the audiobook because this book was very confusing. I mean, in a good way, I enjoyed it, but it was very high fantasy. Even though it's technically low fantasy, it has a lot of complex descriptions of what they actually do. I don't know how to explain, really. But this is dark academia, I think, about like, imagine if Merlin actually had descendants. I kind of don't, I don't want to explain it to you because I'm gonna get it wrong, but it was really good. It was over 500 pages and the writing is very small though, so that is another reason why I had to listen to the audiobook. The audiobook was like 20 hours long. I ended up rating this 4 stars. I really liked it and I really want to read the next one. That's already on my wish list, but it might end up being the next book I buy. The only reason I didn't rate it 5 stars is because I was confused, but that is not the book's fault. That is my fault. So many people love this book and I was really scared as like, oh my god, what if I didn't? But no, I really enjoyed it, and the way it ended, I have to get the next one. It's called Bloodmarked, and I will definitely be reading it. So that's all the physical books. I read a lot of books on my Kindle, and I will tell you why. I figured out that I like reading manga, and there's a lot of them on Kindle Unlimited that I didn't know about. And obviously, say if there's like 13 volumes in a series, that's gonna get expensive to collect 13 books that I can read. I can read all 13 in the matter of a couple days. That's a lot of money, so instead I found some ones on Kindle Unlimited. I need to put my phone on silent in these videos. So I read all 3 volumes of Zombie Cherry, which is just literally, I just saw it was free on Kindle Unlimited, and it's basically this guy makes this like serum where, like, say if you've got the flu or a cold, you can take a drop and it will make you feel better. It's like magical medicine. And this girl's ready to go on a date, and it's his friend, and I think she just doesn't feel well, she's got the flu or something, so she takes the whole bottle. And then she gets like in a situation where she should have died, but she doesn't, she's fine, and they're trying to figure out why, and it turns out she's technically dead, but the zombie cherry stuff is keeping her alive, and they've got to kind of figure out what the hell is going on. I rated volume 1 3 stars and volumes 2 and 3 4 stars. It was really entertaining, really fun, and I really liked it. Then I read the first 10 out of the 12 volumes of Arisa. Volumes 1 to 10 were free on Kindle Unlimited, and there's just 2 more that I'm gonna read, but I just did not want to spend any more money on books at the moment. So I don't really know how to explain this series. It's about these 2 twins who, when their parents got divorced, one went with one and one went with the other. And then they meet up like 3 years later, and one of them goes to the other girl's school for a day because they're identical and they pretend. And then it turns out that the one whose life she's trying to impersonate, she's like, wow, she's got it all, she has the best life. And then she tries to commit suicide and ends up in a coma. And then there's this whole thing with like, why did she do that? She seems to have the perfect life. And then there's like this king time thing in the school, and I don't know how to explain it, but it gets really creepy. I'm gonna quickly go through what I rated them all, because obviously there are 10 volumes. Volume 1 was 3 stars, volume 2 and 3 and 4 were all 4 stars, volume 5 was 3 stars, volume 6 was 4 stars, volume 7 was 3 stars, volume 8, 9 and 10 were all 4 stars. It's kind of confusing, but you should follow me on Goodreads and Storygraph because I do this all real time, so shameless plug, you can keep up with me there. Yeah, please recommend me manga for beginners. I have the all-in-one edition of Death Note here, which I'm going to read, but it is 2,400 pages. And my brother really likes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so I got the first volume here that I am working my way through, and then we're gonna talk about it together. Because he's the reason I started reading manga. I was like, this is the closest I'm gonna get to him reading something, and he's not gonna read the stuff I like, so I might as well give in and read the stuff he likes. And I ended up liking it too. But anyway, there is one more book I read, and I read it on Kindle Unlimited, and it is Mr. Masters by T.L. Swan. Now, she wrote the Miles High Club, the Stopover, the Takeover, the Casanova, the Do-Over, which I loved all of them but one more 5-star reads. And this book was 1 star. I will tell you what I said in my review. I said the homophobia and the slut-shaming was enough for me. And that's all I'll really say. Unpopular opinion, don't waste your time. There's a whole thing about one of the kids being gay, and the nanny knows, and she's like, I can't tell him because he won't cope with knowing that his daughter is gay. He will not be able to cope with it. And then he doesn't cope with it, and it's like, why? He's like, you're too young to put labels on yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. She's 16. I think she's gonna know. If she's telling you, and even if you think she's too young, she's telling you this is how she feels, just accept it and be supportive. You don't need to fly off the handle. And what I hate in these books is when the girl likes a guy, right? And then like there are women flirting with him because obviously he's attractive and you guys are not together. He has not made it clear whether you're together or not. He's told no one that you are together. And she has an internal monologue of constantly being like, oh, that slut. And like putting other women down because they find a guy they think is single attractive and they are flirting with him. What is wrong with that? I don't like it when women put other women down in books. We're not here for it, and I'm not here for it. That is everything I read this month. It was a very mixed bag. There's a lot of fantasy, a lot of manga, and then there was a few rom-coms. I am really excited to film my May TBR because this summer I'm going to become a rom-com girly. I hate how I just said that, but I've been watching Love Island. Anyway, over winter and kind of spring, I've been getting really into fantasy, and this summer I think I'm gonna get really into just cute rom-coms and read it in summer, you know, sit outside, and I'm very excited for that. Yes, I think that is all for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, because I post new videos every Monday, and this week you're getting one on Thursday as well. You're going to get my May TBR posted on Thursday. I also have a really exciting video coming next Monday where I compare 2 of the most popular bookish boxes. And I have an hour worth of footage so far to go and edit for that video, so that should be fun. But I'm gonna go do that now. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in another video. Bye!